The Talari were a peaceful people who traveled between stars. For hundreds of years, they had built beautiful ships that carried messages of friendship to other worlds. They did not make weapons. They did not train soldiers. They believed that all intelligent life wanted the same things: peace, knowledge, and understanding. Captain Do-hyun Kim stood on the bridge of his ship and knew that they had been wrong. "Sir, they've taken out our engines on ships 3 and 4, said Park Tae-ho, looking up from his screen with fear in his eyes. "They're asking us to surrender." Do-hyun looked at the main screen. 5 strange ships surrounded his small fleet of 3 remaining vessels. The ships were ugly, with sharp angles and weapons pointed at them from every side. The Talari had never seen this type of ship before. They had never met this type of alien before. The aliens called themselves the Vekran. They were pirates who took what they wanted from weaker ships. The Talari ships, with their beautiful curves and lack of weapons, were perfect targets. "How many crew on the disabled ships?" Do-hyun asked. 52 on Ship 3, 47 on Ship 4, replied Han Ji-woo, the communications officer. Her hands shook as she worked her controls. She had never expected to face danger on this diplomatic mission. Do-hyun nodded. Nearly 100 lives in danger, plus the 200 more on his remaining ships. He had to make a decision. "We need to send a distress signal," he said firmly. Park Tae-ho looked worried. "To who? We're in unclaimed space. The nearest Galactic Alliance outpost is 3 sectors away." "Broadcast on all frequencies," Do-hyun ordered. "Someone must hear us." Han Ji-woo's fingers flew over the emergency system. It was old and rarely used. The Talari almost never needed to call for help. She activated the system and sent out the call for aid across the stars. What the Talari didn't know was that their old emergency beacon had a problem. Instead of reaching the peaceful Merdonian civilization as they hoped, the signal traveled to a system that was marked in their star charts with a warning: "Forbidden, Class 12 Death World." In the darkness of space, the signal sped toward Earth. Captain Song Ji-hye sat in her chair on the bridge of the Earth Alliance vessel Thunderchild. Earth had only recently begun traveling beyond their solar system. Humans were newcomers to space, and they were eager to meet other intelligent life. "Captain, we're picking up a signal," said Lee Hyuk from his communication station. He sounded excited. "It's not from Earth. It's not from any human ship." Ji sat up straight. For 10 years, human ships had been searching for signs of alien life. This could be the moment they had all been waiting for. "Let me hear it," she said. A strange sound filled the bridge. It was not a language any of them knew, but the meaning was clear. Someone was in trouble. "Can we tell where it's coming from?" Ji-hye asked. "Yes, Captain," said Kang Dong-hae, her second in command. "About 2 light days from here. We can reach it in 10 hours at maximum speed." Ji-hye stood up. This was why they had come into space. This was their chance to make first contact, to show the universe what humans were made of. "Plot a course," she ordered. "Maximum burn." "Captain," said Yoon Min-jae from Tactical, "we don't know what's waiting for us. Should we alert Earth Command first?" Ji-hye shook her head. "By the time we get instructions back, it might be too late. This is a distress call. We have a duty to respond." The crew nodded. They all understood duty. They were all volunteers, the best Earth had to offer. They knew the risks of space travel, but they also knew the importance of their mission. "All stations prepare for maximum acceleration," Ji-hye announced. "This is what we trained for. Let's make Earth proud." The Thunderchild turned toward the source of the signal. Its engines glowed bright blue, then white-hot as they pushed the ship faster than any Earth vessel had gone before. The ship was built to handle stresses that would tear other ships apart. It was made by humans for humans to withstand conditions that most aliens would find impossible. Inside the ship, the crew barely felt the force of acceleration. The Thunderchild systems were designed to protect human bodies from the extreme forces of space travel. They could endure pressures that would kill most species in the galaxy. As the Thunderchild raced toward the distress signal, the Vekran pirates continued their attack on the Talari ships. "Begin boarding procedures," ordered Captain Mrek of the Vekran flagship. "Take anything valuable. Take crew members for the slave markets. Kill anyone who resists." The Vekran were cruel but careful. They had done this many times before. They knew how to strip a ship of its valuable parts. They knew how to take captives without damaging them too badly. They were efficient predators. On the Talari flagship, Do-hyun watched helplessly as the Vekran attached boarding tubes to his disabled ships. "We have to do something," said Bae Ji-yeon, the science officer. They're going to take our people. Do-hyun felt sick. The Talari had no weapons. They had never needed them before. Their ships had shields to protect against space debris and radiation, but nothing to stop determined attackers. Keep broadcasting the distress signal, he ordered Han Ji-woo. And prepare to negotiate. Maybe we can offer them something so they'll leave our people alone. But in his heart, Do-hyun knew it was hopeless. The Vecran didn't want to negotiate. They wanted to take. And the Talari had nothing to stop them. Hours passed. The Vecran took 20 Talari crew members from the disabled ships. They also took valuable equipment and materials. They were preparing to board the next ship when their sensors detected something. Captain Mrek called the sensor operator. There's something approaching, fast. Faster than anything I've ever seen. Mrek wasn't worried. His ships were well armed. They could handle any threat. Put it on screen, he ordered. What he saw made him pause. The approaching ship was unlike anything in Galactic Alliance records. It was black and angular, with thick armor plating. It looked primitive but somehow threatening, like a club in a world of light beams. What is that? He asked. No one had an answer. On board the Thunderchild, Captain Jae-hee assessed the situation quickly. 7 ships total, she reported. 5 in aggressive formation around 2 disabled vessels. Scanning shows boarding tubes attached. This looks like a pirate attack. The attackers are scanning us, said Tactical Officer Min-jae. Their weapons are charging, Ji-hee nodded. She had hoped for a peaceful first contact, but she was prepared for this too. Open a channel, she ordered. All frequencies. When the communications system was ready, Ji-hee spoke clearly and firmly. This is Captain Song Jie of the Earth Alliance vessel Thunderchild. We are responding to a distress call. Cease your hostile actions immediately. The response came in the form of energy weapons. Bright beams of light shot from the Vecran ships toward the Thunderchild. These weapons would have destroyed any normal ship instantly, but the Thunderchild was not normal. Its hull was designed to withstand meteor impacts and solar flares. The energy weapons splashed against it like water. Minimal damage, reported Chief Engineer Nam Dae-woong over the comms. Our armor is holding. Ji wasn't surprised. Humans had built the Thunderchild to survive in the harshest conditions. Earth itself was a harsh teacher. They've made their choice, Ji-hee said calmly. Target their weapon systems only. Use minimum force. The Thunderchild's railguns came online. These weapons fired solid metal projectiles at incredible speeds. The Vecran shields were designed to stop energy weapons, not physical objects moving at such velocities. The railgun rounds tore through the Vecran shields as if they weren't there. With surgical precision, the Thunderchild disabled the weapon systems on 2 Vecran ships without destroying them completely. On board the Talari flagship, Do-hyun and his crew watched in amazement. What kind of ship is that? Whispered Bae-jeon. It took direct hits from Vecran weapons and barely shows damage. And those weapons, they're firing physical projectiles. Do-hyun had no answer. He had never seen anything like this before. The newcomer ship was using technology that the Galactic Alliance had abandoned centuries ago. Physical armor and kinetic weapons. Yet somehow these primitive approaches were working against the Vecran's advanced shields. Try to contact them. He told Han Ji-woo. Find out who they are, as the Thunderchild continued to systematically disable the Vecran ships. The Talari signal reached its communication systems. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from one of the other ships, reported Lee Hyuk. Different from the attackers. I think it's from whoever sent the distress signal. Put them through, Ji-hee said. The face that appeared on the screen was humanoid but clearly alien. The being had smooth pale blue skin, large eyes, and no visible hair. It looked at Ji-hee with an expression of shock and wonder. This is Captain Do-hyun Kim of the Talari diplomatic fleet, the alien said, its words translated by the ship's computer. We thank you for your assistance. May we ask who you are and where you come from?
Ji-hee smiled.
This was the moment humans had been waiting for. First contact. I am Captain Song Ji-hye of the Earth Alliance vessel Thunderchild, she replied. We received your distress call and came to help. We are from a planet called Earth. The alien's eyes widened. Earth? But that's... He stopped, seeming unsure of what to say. Ji-hye didn't notice his hesitation. She was focused on the remaining Vecran ships, which were beginning to retreat. The airlock doors opened with a soft hiss. Captain Do-hyun and his officers stood nervously as they waited to meet their rescuers face to face. They had seen the humans on screens, but meeting aliens in person was always different. When the humans walked through the door, the Talari stepped back in surprise. The humans were tall with strong bodies. They walked with a smooth, confident grace that seemed strange for their size. Most shocking to the Talari was that the humans wore only light suits instead of full protection gear. "Greetings," said Captain Jihi, extending her hand in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "I'm glad we could reach you in time." Do-hyun stared at her outstretched hand for a moment before carefully touching it with his own. He had studied many alien cultures, but he had never expected to meet humans. Earth was a forbidden world in Talari records. "We are grateful for your help," he said slowly. "Without you, we would have lost many lives today." Ji-hai smiled, a gesture that showed her teeth. The Talari tried not to flinch. On many worlds, showing teeth was a threat, but they could tell the human meant it as a friendly sign. "Let me introduce my team," Ji-hye said. "This is Dr. Kim Jun, our chief medical officer. He will help your injured crew members." A shorter human male stepped forward. He carried strange equipment that the Talari had never seen before. "And this is Engineer Nam Dae-woong. He will help repair your ships." Another human nodded. This one had strong hands and sharp eyes that seemed to take in every detail of the Talari ship. "We have injured crew on ships 3 and 4, Do-hyun explained. "And all 3 remaining ships have engine damage." Dr. Jun spoke up. "I'd like to see the injured right away. Can someone show me to them?" Science Officer Bae Ji-yeon stepped forward. "I will take you to them," she offered, though she looked nervous to be so close to the human. As they walked toward the injured crew, Ji-yeon couldn't help but stare at the human doctor. He moved with purpose but showed no signs of discomfort in the Talari ship environment. "Aren't you concerned about our atmosphere?" she finally asked. Dr. Jun looked surprised. "Our scans showed it's compatible with human needs. A bit more oxygen than we're used to, but nothing dangerous. Is there something I should be worried about?" Ji-yeon shook her head in wonder. "Most species require special suits to visit other ships. The differences in air, gravity, and temperature can be fatal." "Oh," Jun said with a small laugh. "Humans are pretty adaptable. We can handle a wide range of conditions." Ji-yeon didn't respond, but she thought about what she knew of Class 12 death worlds. They were planets with extreme conditions. High gravity, dangerous temperature changes, powerful storms, deadly radiation, aggressive life forms. Any species that evolved in such conditions would have to be incredibly strong and adaptable just to survive. When they reached the injured Talari, Dr. Jun went to work immediately. He had studied alien biology during his training, but he had never treated non-humans before. Still, he was confident in his skills. "This one has a crushed arm," he said, examining a Talari who was lying very still on a bed, "and several broken ribs. I need to stabilize him before we move him to our medical bay." Ji-yeon watched as the human doctor gently treated the injured Talari. His hands were strong but careful. He used strange devices that seemed to repair damage without cutting into the body. "What is that tool?" she asked, pointing to a small device that was closing a wound without stitches. "This? It's a cellular regenerator," Jun explained as he worked. "It helps the body heal itself faster." Ji-yeon had never seen such technology before. The Galactic Alliance had advanced medical tools, but nothing that worked so quickly or effectively. Meanwhile, Engineer Dae-woong was inspecting the Talari engines with Chief Engineer Choi Won-jin. "Your power systems are inefficient," Dae-woong said as he looked at the engine core. "We could improve your output by at least 40% with some simple modifications." Won-jin was shocked. The Talari were proud of their engine technology. It was clean, safe, and reliable, the standard design used throughout the Galactic Alliance. "These are the best engines available," he said defensively. Dae-woong shrugged. "Maybe for most ships, but humans had to develop more powerful systems. Our homeworld has higher gravity than most planets. It takes more energy to escape." As he spoke, Dae-woong reached out and adjusted a power coupling with his bare hands. Won-jin gasped in horror. The surface was hot enough to burn Talari's skin. "Isn't that painful?" he asked. Dae-woong looked confused. It's just warm. Feels nice, actually. Your ship runs cold by our standards." Won-jin stared at the human. What kind of species could consider a near-burning surface warm? What kind of world would produce such beings? On the bridge, Captain Ji-hye and Captain Do-hyun were discussing the attack. "The Vekran are pirates," Do-hyun explained. "They attack ships that can't defend themselves. The Galactic Alliance tries to control them, but space is vast. It's impossible to patrol everywhere. Jihi nodded. We have pirates in our system too. But usually they target cargo ships, not diplomatic vessels. The Talari don't build warships, Do-hyun said. All our vessels are for peaceful purposes. We never expected to need weapons. Ji-hye tried to hide her surprise. A species with no weapons? No defenses? On Earth, even the most peaceful nations had ways to protect themselves. That's admirable, she said carefully. But dangerous, Do-hyun sighed. We're learning that lesson today. But your ship, the Thunderchild, it's unlike anything I've seen before. The way it withstood those energy attacks and those weapons you used, they're not like Galactic Alliance technology. Railguns, Ji-hye explained. They're simple, really. They use magnetic fields to accelerate metal projectiles to very high speeds. But most advanced civilizations abandoned physical weapons centuries ago, Do-hyun said. Energy weapons are cleaner, more precise, Ji smiled. Sometimes the old ways work best. Energy shields are designed to stop energy attacks. They're not as effective against physical objects moving at high speed. Do-hyun was beginning to understand. These humans thought differently. They approached problems from unexpected angles. It was both fascinating and frightening, Captain, he said slowly. If I may ask, what is Earth like? Your homeworld? Ji's eyes lit up with pride. Earth is beautiful. We have vast oceans, tall mountains, wide deserts, and thick forests. The life there is incredibly diverse. And the conditions? Do-hyun asked carefully. Conditions? Well, it varies a lot depending on where you are. Near the poles, it can get as cold as -50 degrees. Near the equator, it can reach 50 degrees above zero. We have storms, earthquakes, volcanoes. But most places are quite pleasant. Do-hyun tried not to show his shock. The temperature range alone would kill most Galactic Alliance species. And to describe a world with constant natural disasters as pleasant, I see, he said weakly. Ji-hye noticed his discomfort. Is something wrong? Before Do-hyun could answer, Communications Officer Han Ji-woo entered the bridge. Captain, she said urgently, I've been communicating with the human ship's computer. I've accessed their star charts and... She paused, looking nervous. And what? Do-hyun asked. And I know where they're from, she said quietly. They're from Earth. The planet listed in our ancient records as a Class 12 death world. The bridge went silent. Every Talari officer stared at the human captain with new eyes. They had all learned about death worlds in school, but most had thought them just scary stories to frighten children. Ji-hye looked confused. What's a death world? Do-hyun hesitated, unsure how to explain. In our classification system, planets are rated by their danger level. Class 1 is a paradise world, perfect conditions for life. Class 12 is, well, a planet so dangerous that most species would die there within minutes. Ji-hye laughed. Earth isn't that bad. Sure, we have some extreme environments, but most of the planet is quite habitable. For you, Do-hyun said softly, because you evolved there. Your body's adapted to conditions that would kill most other species. Understanding dawned on Ji-hye's face. You mean we're the dangerous aliens? The monsters from a death planet? No one answered. The silence was answer enough. Back in the medical area, Dr. June had finished treating the most seriously injured Talari. He was preparing to move them to the Thunderchild's medical bay for better care, when he noticed something strange. Why do all of you stay at least 2 steps away from me? He asked Ji-hyun. The science officer hesitated before answering. Your physical strength. We can see how dense your muscles are, how quickly you move. A single accidental hit from you could break our bones. June looked shocked. I would never hurt any of you. Not on purpose, Ji-hyun agreed. But you're from a high-gravity world. Your body is built to withstand forces that would crush us. Meanwhile, in the engine room, Dae-woong had made several adjustments to the Talari power systems. The engines were now running at higher efficiency than Wonjin had thought possible. How did you learn to do this? Wonjin asked as they finished the repairs. Dae-woong shrugged. Necessity. On Earth, if something doesn't work well enough, we improve it or we die. Our history is basically a long series of solving problems or facing extinction. Wonjin tried to imagine such a harsh existence. The Talari had evolved on a gentle world with few predators and stable conditions. Their progress had been slow but steady, with little pressure to innovate quickly. That explains a lot, he said finally. By the 3rd day of working together, the Talari were beginning to adjust to the presence of humans. The initial fear had not completely disappeared, but it was now mixed with curiosity and even admiration. Dr. Kim Jun had set up a medical station on the Talari flagship. He had treated all of the injured crew members, and most were already recovering much faster than expected. The Talari medical team watched him closely, amazed by his techniques and technology. "Your medical tools are fascinating," said Medical Officer Shin Hana, as she observed Dr. Jun treating a patient with a broken leg. "You heal without scars and with minimal pain." Jun smiled as he worked. Human medicine had to develop this way. On Earth, infection is a major concern. Our bodies are strong in many ways, but we're vulnerable to tiny organisms that cause disease. So we learned to heal wounds quickly and cleanly. "Tiny organisms?" Hana asked, confused. "Bacteria, viruses, fungi," Jun explained. "Earth is teeming with microscopic life that can be harmful. Our bodies are constantly fighting them off." Hana looked shocked. "Your world attacks you even at the microscopic level?" Jun laughed. "I never thought of it that way, but yes, I suppose it does. Earth is beautiful, but every part of it is in a constant battle for survival." In the engine room, Engineer Nam Daewon continued to work with Chief Engineer Choi Wonjin. The Talari ships were now running better than ever before. Daewon had made improvements that the Talari would never have considered. "Your approach to engineering is so different," Wonjin said as they finished work on the last ship. "You look at a system and immediately see how to make it more efficient, more powerful." Daewon wiped sweat from his forehead. "It's how we think. On Earth, resources can be scarce. Efficiency isn't just nice to have, it's essential for survival. But the Galactic Alliance has standard designs for everything," Wonjin argued. "Ships, stations, tools, they've all been optimized over centuries." "Optimized for what?" Daewon asked. "Safety, reliability. Those are important, but sometimes you need power, speed, or adaptability instead. Different situations call for different solutions." Wonjin thought about this. The Talari had always followed the Galactic Alliance standards without question. The idea of adapting designs for specific needs was new and exciting. On the bridge, Captain Do-hyun was having a similar conversation with Captain Ji-hee. The human had brought star charts to show the Talari where Earth was located. "Your home system is far from the main Galactic Alliance routes," Do-hyun noted as he studied the charts. "That's why we never encountered humans before." Ji-hee nodded. "We only developed faster than light travel about 50 years ago. We've been exploring cautiously, mapping systems near us." 50 years? Do-hyun was shocked. Most species take centuries to move from planetary travel to interstellar travel. Ji-hee smiled. "We were in a hurry. Our population was growing and we needed resources. Plus, we were curious about what was out there." Do-hyun hesitated before asking his next question. "In the Galactic Alliance, there are stories about death worlds. They say that species from such planets are aggressive, warlike." Ji-hee didn't seem offended. "Human history has plenty of war," she admitted. "When resources are limited and survival is difficult, conflict happens. But we've learned from our mistakes. The nations of Earth are mostly at peace now, working together for our common future." "That's reassuring," Do-hyun said. "But I must tell you, when the Galactic Alliance learns of your existence, there may be fear. Many will see humans as a potential threat. Because we come from a death world. Yes, the term itself creates fear. And your physical capabilities, your technology, they're different from what we're used to." Jie considered this. "Then we'll need to show them that we come in peace. Actions speak louder than words, as we say on Earth." Their conversation was interrupted by an alert. Tactical Officer Park Tae-ho looked up from his console with concern. "Captain, long-range sensors detect multiple ships approaching. Fekran signatures," Do-hyun frowned. "How many?" 8 ships. Larger than the ones that attacked us before." Ji-hee stood up. "They're back with reinforcements. They must want revenge for the ships we disabled." Do-hyun looked worried. "Even with your ship, we can't fight 8 Vecran vessels. We should try to retreat." Ji-hee shook her head. "The Thunderchild can handle them, but your ships aren't fully repaired yet. You can't outrun them." She tapped her communication device. "Thunderchild, this is Captain Ji-hee. Prepare for combat. I'm returning to the ship." As Ji-hee prepared to leave, Do-hyun grabbed her arm. He immediately released it when he realized what he had done, afraid he had offended her. "Sorry," he said quickly, "but please don't risk your ship and crew for us again. You've already done enough." Ji-hee looked at him with determination. "This is what humans do, Captain. We protect those who need protection. It's in our nature." Before Do-hyun could argue further, Ji-hee was gone, hurrying back to her ship. The Talari captain watched on the screen as the Thunderchild moved away from the Talari fleet, positioning itself between them and the approaching Vecran ships. "What is she doing?" asked Communications Officer Han Jiwoo. "Her ship is strong, but 8 against 1. She's giving us time to finish repairs and escape," Do-hyun realized. "She's sacrificing her ship to save ours." The Vecran ships appeared on the long-range viewer. They were heavily armed, clearly prepared for a serious fight. They had not expected resistance during their first attack. This time they were ready. On board the Thunderchild, Captain Jahye assessed the situation calmly. 8 Vecran warships, reported Tactical Officer Yoon Min-jae. "They're spreading out to surround us. All weapons ready," Ji-hee ordered. "Shield strength at maximum. And open a channel." When the communication system was ready, Ji-hee spoke firmly. "Vecran vessels, this is Captain Song Ji-hee of the Earth Alliance vessel Thunderchild. Your previous attack on the Talari ships was stopped. If you attack again, you will be defeated again. I suggest you leave this area immediately." The response came from a large Vecran ship in the center of their formation. The alien on the screen had rough, scaled skin and sharp teeth that showed as he spoke. "Earth ship," the Vecran commander hissed. "You interfere in matters that do not concern you. The Talari are weak. They have resources we need. Step aside or be destroyed." Jihee's expression didn't change. "The Talari are under our protection now. Leave or face the consequences." The Vecran commander laughed. "1 ship against 8? Your courage is admirable, but your logic is flawed. This is your final warning." Ji-hee ended the transmission and turned to her crew. "They've made their choice. Tactical, target their weapon systems only. We want to disable, not destroy." "Yes, Captain," Min-jae responded. The Vecran ships opened fire first. Energy beams from 8 vessels converged on the Thunderchild. The human ship's shields glowed bright as they absorbed the attack. "Shields at 85%, reported Chief Engineer Dae-wong over the comm system. "We can take this all day." "Return fire," Ji ordered. "Show them what Earth ships can do." The Thunderchild's railguns fired in sequence. Metal projectiles shot out at incredible speeds, tearing through the Vecran shields as if they were paper. 2 Vecran ships lost weapons capability immediately. On board the Talari flagship, the crew watched in amazement. "How is this possible?" whispered Tactical Officer Park Tae-ho. "Their ship is withstanding combined fire that would destroy a Galactic Alliance cruiser instantly. And their weapons," added Science Officer Bae Ji-yeon. "They're not just disabling the Vecran ships, they're doing it with surgical precision. No wasted energy, no collateral damage." Do-hyun watched the battle with a mixture of awe and concern. The human ship was incredible, but it was still outnumbered, and the Vecran were adapting, changing their attack patterns, trying to find weaknesses in the Thunderchild's defenses. "We need to help them," he decided suddenly. "They're fighting to protect us. We can't just watch." "But we have no weapons," reminded Park Tae-ho. "We have engines," Do-hyun said, "and we have shields." "Engineer Won-jin, can we use our ships to block some of the Vecran attacks? Create a distraction?" Won-jin looked thoughtful. "With the improvements the humans made, yes, our shields could withstand a few hits. Not many, but maybe enough to help." Do-hyun nodded. "Then let's move. Formation Delta. Surround the Thunderchild and use our shields to block attacks from different directions." The Talari ships began to move, forming a loose ring around the human vessel. It wasn't much, but it was all they could offer to help their protectors. Inside the Thunderchild, Captain Ji-hee noticed the Talari movement. "What are they doing?" she asked, surprised. "They should be escaping, not moving closer to the battle." "I think they're trying to help us," said Commander Kang Dong-hae. "They're using their ships as shields." Ji-hee felt a surge of respect for the Talari. They had no weapons, but they were willing to risk their ships to help the humans who had come to their aid. "Then let's not waste their courage," she said. "Tactical, focus fire on the lead Vecran ship. Engineering, divert power to forward weapons." The battle continued. 2 more Vecran ships lost weapon capability. Another lost engine power. But the remaining 4 adjusted their strategy, concentrating their fire on one area of the Thunderchild's shields. "Shields down to 40% in Section 3, reported Dae-wong. "They found a rhythm that's weakening our defense grid." 1 week after the battle with the Vecran pirates, the Talari ships were fully repaired and ready to continue their journey. Captain Do-hyun had decided to escort the Thunderchild to the nearest Galactic Alliance outpost. It was time for humans to be formally introduced to the wider galactic community. The two fleets traveled together through space, using the time to learn more about each other. Cultural exchanges happened daily, with crew members from both ships visiting back and forth. On this particular day, human chef Oh Sunho had prepared a special meal for a group of Talari visitors. The dining hall on the Thunderchild was filled with delicious smells as Talari officers cautiously tasted human food. "This is intense," said Communications Officer Han Ji-woo, her eyes watering slightly as she tried a spicy dish. "What do you call it?" "Kimchi," Chef Sunho replied proudly. "It's a traditional Korean food from Earth, fermented vegetables with spices." "Fermented?" asked Science Officer Bae Ji-yeon. "You mean you let it rot before eating it?" Sunho laughed. "Not rot, ferment. Good bacteria break down the vegetables and create new flavors. It's very healthy." The Talari looked at each other nervously. The concept of intentionally eating food that had been transformed by bacteria was strange to them. But they had promised to keep an open mind. "It's actually quite good," admitted Chief Engineer Choi Wonjin after taking a small bite. "Though my mouth feels like it's on fire." "That's the capsaicin," explained Sunho. "Many human foods contain it. It's a chemical that creates a sensation of heat." "You eat chemicals that cause pain?" Ji-yeon asked, amazed. "Why?" Sunho thought about it. "Well, it's not exactly pain. More like excitement. It makes food interesting. Plus, spicy foods developed in hot climates. The heat makes you sweat, which cools your body." Again, the Talari were reminded of how different Earth was. Humans had evolved to not just survive, but actually enjoy sensations that would be unpleasant or even harmful to other species. That evening, the Talari hosted a cultural event of their own. In the largest room of their flagship, they performed traditional Talari music and dance for their human guests. Captain Ji-hee and several of her officers watched in fascination. The Talari music used sounds at frequencies that humans could barely hear, creating ethereal melodies that seemed to float through the air. Their dancers moved with a fluid grace that looked almost like they were underwater. "It's beautiful," Ji-hee whispered to Cultural Officer Ryu Jinwoo, "but I feel like I'm missing parts of it." Jinwoo nodded. "Their hearing range is different from ours. They're using frequencies that are at the edge of human perception, and I think some of the colors in their costumes are in ultraviolet ranges we can't see at all." After the performance, Talari Cultural Attaché Im Yeon-seo approached the humans. "Did you enjoy our traditional performance?" she asked hopefully. "It was magnificent," Ji-hee assured her. "Like nothing we've ever experienced before." Yoon-seo looked pleased. "Tomorrow we would be honored if you would share some of your culture with us. Perhaps music or art from Earth?" Jinwoo smiled. "We'd be happy to. Though I should warn you, human music might be quite different from what you're used to. Our hearing range isn't as extensive as yours, so we use different frequencies, and our music tends to be dynamic." "Dynamic?" Yoon-seo asked. "Lots of changes in volume and intensity," Jinwoo explained. "It might seem a bit extreme to Talari ears." Yoon-seo looked intrigued rather than concerned. "We look forward to experiencing it." The next day, the human cultural presentation began. Jinwoo had selected pieces of music from various Earth cultures, starting with gentle classical pieces and gradually introducing more complex compositions. The Talari listened with great interest, though some winced at the louder passages. When a piece by Beethoven reached its powerful climax, several Talari covered their hearing organs. "I apologize," Jinwoo said quickly, lowering the volume. "Is it too intense?" "It's so emotional," replied Yoon-seo, looking both pained and fascinated. "The range from quiet to loud is much greater than in our music. It's almost physically painful at the peaks, but there's something compelling about it." "That's a good description of human art in general," Jinwoo said thoughtfully. "We seek contrast and intensity. Our emotions are powerful forces in our lives." After the music, the humans showed visual art from Earth. The Talari were particularly interested in landscape paintings. "Your world has such extremes," Yoon-seo commented as she viewed images of Earth's deserts, mountains, oceans, and forests. "So many different environments on one planet." "That's part of why humans are adaptable," Jinwoo explained. "Earth demanded that we learn to survive in many different conditions." As the cultural exchanges continued, Captain Do-hyun was meeting privately with his senior officers. They were discussing the implications of introducing humans to the Galactic Alliance. "The Alliance Council will be concerned," said First Officer Quan Hyun-jin. Deathworlders are considered dangerous by definition. There are protocols for such encounters. Protocols that include quarantine, added Tactical Officer Park Taeho. They may demand that humans be restricted to their own system until they are deemed safe for integration. Do-hyun frowned. That would be unjust. These humans saved our lives twice. They've shown nothing but respect and helpfulness. I agree, said Science Officer Bae Ji-yeon. But fear isn't rational. The physical capabilities of humans alone will frighten many council members. Their strength, their resistance to environmental changes, their problem-solving approach, all these things make them seem unpredictable and potentially dangerous. Not to mention their technology, added Chief Engineer Choi Won-jin. Their ship's defensive capabilities exceed Galactic Alliance military vessels. Their medical technology is years ahead of ours in some areas. Their engineering solutions are unorthodox but effective. Do-hyun sighed. So what do we do? How do we ensure they receive fair treatment? We tell the truth, said Communications Officer Han Ji-woo simply. We document everything they've done for us. We present them as they are, not as monsters from a death world, but as people with extraordinary abilities who choose to use those abilities to help others. On the Thunderchild, a similar conversation was taking place. Captain Ji-hee had gathered her senior staff to prepare for their arrival at the Galactic Alliance outpost. We'll be the first humans to officially meet the Alliance, Ji-hee reminded them. The impression we make will affect Earth's relationship with other species for generations to come. From what the Talari have told us, they might be afraid of us, said Dr. June. They've never encountered a species from a Class 12 planet before. Then we need to show them they have nothing to fear, Ji-hee said firmly. We're explorers, not conquerors. We came into space looking for friends, not subjects. But we should also be careful not to appear weak, added Commander Kang Dong-hae. Respect is important. We need to be seen as equals, not as primitives or as threats. It's a delicate balance, agreed Cultural Officer Jinwoo. We need to be our best selves, confident but humble, strong but gentle, advanced but willing to learn. Ji-hee nodded. That's exactly right. We represent not just ourselves but all of humanity. Let's make Earth proud. 2 days later, they arrived at the Galactic Alliance outpost. It was a massive space station orbiting a small moon. Ships of various designs came and went, representing dozens of different species. As they approached, Captain Do-hyun sent a message ahead, explaining the situation. The response was immediate. The outpost commander requested that both captains come aboard for an urgent meeting. Do-hyun and Ji-hye traveled together in a Talari shuttle. As they approached the docking bay, Ji-hye looked out at the diverse ships around them. So many different designs, she commented. So many different species. The Galactic Alliance includes over 200 intelligent species, Do-hyun explained. Each with their own unique biology, culture, and technology, working together for mutual benefit and peace. It sounds like the United Nations on Earth, Ji-hye said. Though on a much larger scale when they docked, they were met by a security team. The aliens were humanoid but with distinct differences. Blue skin, extra joints in their arms, and large sensitive eyes. They carried energy weapons and looked nervous. Welcome to Outpost 73, said the lead security officer. I am Commander Leth. The station administrator is waiting for you in the main conference room. They walked through the station. Ji-hee noticed that everyone they passed stopped to stare at her. Some looked curious, others fearful. Word had clearly spread that a Deathworlder was aboard the station. The station administrator was from yet another species, tall and slender with 4 arms and feathery antennae that twitched constantly. He introduced himself as Director. Plex Captain Do-hyun, the director said, his translator conveying his words. Your message was most disturbing. You claim to have encountered humans, a species from a Class 12 death world, and you brought one to my station? With respect, Director, Do-hyun replied calmly. Captain Ji-hye and her crew saved my fleet from pirates. Twice. They risked their lives to help strangers. I believe they deserve to be treated with respect, not fear. Director Plex's antennae twitched rapidly. Protocol dictates that species from Class 10 or higher worlds must be quarantined until a full assessment can be conducted. For the safety of all, Ji-hye stepped forward. Director, I understand your concern. 3 weeks had passed since the Thunderchild arrived at the Galactic Alliance outpost. In that time, news had spread throughout nearby systems that humans, DEATHWORLDERS, had made contact. Fear, curiosity, and excitement rippled through the galactic community. The Galactic Alliance. Council had called for a special summit on the neutral world of Talari. Prime. Representatives from 12 major civilizations would meet to discuss the human question. Captain Jiye and selected crew, members had been invited to represent Earth, while Captain Do-hyun would speak on behalf of the Talari. As the Thunderchild orbited Talari Prime, Jiye prepared for the most important diplomatic mission of her career. She stood in her quarters adjusting her formal Earth Alliance uniform, while Cultural Officer Ryu Jinwoo reviewed protocol with her. Remember, most species will interpret quick movements as threatening, Jinwoo explained. Keep your gestures slow and deliberate, and try not to show your teeth when you smile. Many species see that as aggressive. Jiye nodded. Slow movements, closed-mouth smiles. What else? Some delegates may refuse to come near you because of your physical strength. Don't be offended. Their caution is based on stories they've heard about DEATHWORLDERS, not on you personally. Jihe sighed. It's strange to be feared for something I've never thought about. On Earth, I'm just average. Here I'm seen as some kind of super being. That perception could work in our favor, Jinwoo suggested. If they see humans as powerful, they might be more willing to form an alliance with us rather than against us. I don't want alliances based on fear, Jihe said firmly. I want them to see us as we are. Explorers, scientists, people looking to build bridges across the stars. When they arrived at the summit location, Jihe was impressed by the grand building. The Talari Diplomatic Center was built from a crystal-like material that shimmered with colors humans could barely perceive. Delegates from various worlds were already gathering in the main chamber. Captain Do-hyun met them at the entrance. Captain Jihe, he greeted her warmly. Are you ready for this? As ready as I can be, she replied. Though I wish I'd had more time to prepare. Just be yourself, Do-hyun advised. That's what convinced me that humans are worthy of trust. Let them see the real you, not what they expect a DEATHWORLDER to be. Inside the chamber, delegates from a dozen worlds sat in a semicircle. Each species was dramatically different from the others. Some were insect-like with compound eyes. Others resembled Earth reptiles or mammals, but with key differences. A few were so alien that Jihe couldn't even guess at their biology. The chamber fell silent as Jihe and her team entered. All eyes turned to examine the DEATHWORLDERS. Jihe could feel the tension in the air. The galactic speaker, a tall being with silver skin and no visible eyes, called the summit to order. We are gathered here to address an unprecedented situation, the speaker announced. Humans from the planet Earth, a Class 12 death world, have achieved interstellar travel and made contact with the Galactic Alliance. We must decide how to respond to this development. The Merdonian ambassador, a small creature with 6 limbs and green-tinted skin, spoke first. The regulations are clear, he insisted. Species from Class 12 worlds must be quarantined until they have evolved beyond their aggressive tendencies. It is for the safety of all. Several delegates murmured in agreement. Captain Do-hyun stood to speak. With respect, Ambassador, I have spent time with these humans. They saved my diplomatic fleet from pirates at risk to themselves. Their first instinct upon encountering unknown species was to render aid, not to conquer. One good deed does not erase the danger they represent, argued another delegate. Their physical capabilities alone make them a threat. They can survive conditions that would kill most of us instantly. Their technology is designed for warfare. Our technology is designed for survival, Jihe countered, speaking for the first time. Earth is a challenging world, yes, but those challenges taught us to adapt, to find solutions, to work together. We developed strong bodies and strong tools because we needed them, not because we wanted to harm others. Yet, your history is full of conflict, said a delegate who had clearly studied Earth transmissions. Your people have fought countless wars against each other. Jihe nodded, not denying this truth. We have made many mistakes. We have hurt each other in our world, but we have learned from those mistakes. The nations of Earth now work together more than ever before. We came into space not to continue our conflicts, but to leave them behind, to find new beginnings among the stars. The debate continued for hours. Security footage from the Talari fleet was shown, displaying the Thunderchild's rescue and subsequent battles with the Vecron pirates. The delegates watched with a mixture of fear and admiration, as they saw the human ship withstand attacks that would have destroyed most Alliance vessels, and return fire with precision rather than brute force during a recess. Jihi stood in the garden outside the chamber. She could feel the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. The future relationship between Earth and the galaxy would be shaped by what happened here today. Du-hyun approached her, offering a drink of Talari fruit juice. "You're doing well," he said encouragingly. "Some of them are starting to listen, and others are even more afraid than before," Jihi replied. "I can see it in the way they look at me, the way they keep their distance. They're afraid of what they don't understand." Do-hyun acknowledged. "I was afraid too when I first learned you were from Earth, but I've seen how you use your strength to protect, not to dominate. They need to see that too." Before Ji could respond, an aide rushed into the garden. "Captains, urgent news. The Vecren have attacked an undefended Merdonian colony. The same pirates you encountered, but with more ships. They're taking hostages and stealing resources." Du-hyun looked shocked. "The Merdonians are peaceful scientists. Their colonies have minimal defenses." When the summit reconvened, the Merdonian ambassador was visibly distressed. "This unfortunate attack does not change the matter before us," the Galactic speaker declared. "We must focus on the human question." Captain Jihye stood up. "With respect, it changes everything. My ship can reach the Merdonian colony in 2 days. We can stop this attack and save lives." The chamber went silent. "You would risk your vessel and crew for a species you've just met?" asked the Merdonian ambassador incredulously. "A species that has argued for your quarantine?" "That's what humans do," replied Ji simply. "When someone needs help, we help. It doesn't matter who they are or what they think of us." The offer created a stir among the delegates. Some saw it as a noble gesture, others as a clever political move, still others as proof that humans were dangerously impulsive. After a brief discussion, the Merdonian ambassador accepted Jihi's offer. The Thunderchild departed immediately, promising to return after dealing with the Vecran threat. For 2 days, the summit continued without the humans present. Du-hyun spoke passionately on their behalf, sharing his experiences and observations. The debate shifted from whether humans should be quarantined to what role they might play in the galactic community. On the 3rd day, the communication screens in the chamber activated. The feed showed the Thunderchild engaging a Vecran battle group 3 times its size near the Merdonian colony. The human ship moved with incredible speed and precision, disabling Vecran vessels one by one without destroying them. "They're not using maximum force," noted Kang Sungho, a Talari military analyst who had been invited to comment. "They're disabling the pirates without killing them." The delegates watched in amazement as the Thunderchild systematically neutralized the Vecran threat. When it was over, human medical teams were seen treating wounded Merdonians while security teams rounded up the captured pirates. The Merdonian ambassador was visibly moved. "They had no obligation to help us. We are strangers to them, yet they risked their lives without hesitation." When the Thunderchild returned to Talari Prime the next day, the mood in the summit chamber had changed. Fear was still present, but it was now mixed with respect and curiosity. In the final session, the vote was nearly unanimous. Earth would not be quarantined, but would instead be offered a unique position in galactic affairs. "Protector status. You possess capabilities we lack," explained the Galactic speaker to Captain Jihi and her officers. "Your people evolved on a world that demanded strength, resilience, and adaptability. These same traits that make you potentially dangerous also make you uniquely suited to defend those who cannot defend themselves." "Like peacekeepers?" Jihi asked, similar but with more autonomy. The speaker clarified. "You would respond to distress calls, protect vulnerable outposts, escort diplomatic missions through dangerous regions. In return, you would gain access to Galactic Alliance knowledge, trade routes, and diplomatic channels." Captain Jiye considered the offer. It wasn't what she had expected, but it made sense. Humans were built for challenges. They thrived when they had purpose, when they could use their abilities to help others. "Earth would be honored to accept this role," she said finally, "with the understanding that we are partners in the Alliance, not just its guardians." "Of course," the speaker agreed. "Over time, as trust builds, the relationship will naturally evolve." As the summit concluded, delegates who had been afraid to approach Jihi earlier now came forward to introduce themselves.